looking at the responses to my video where I shit on Bunny Girl Senpai that I posted this morning, I really have to wonder where so many people are coming from in the way that they seem to interpret critical reaction to anything. Why are you all so afraid of dislike? Why are you so afraid of the idea that someone doesn't like something, or that it's okay for you to not like something? Look, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of anime out there. 65 of them get made every season. Do you know why? Because different people have different tastes. There is no expectation on the part of anyone making these shows that every anime fan is going to watch all fucking 65 shows that come out every season. They are made to each appeal to a different niche audience. And so any of them, it is perfectly reasonable to expect that any person might not like them. Anyone. For any reason. In fact, the reasons that people like shows are usually extremely specific, and because anime is inherently a fetishistic medium, and I don't mean that as in sexual fetish, I mean as in it is all about appealing to people's particular tastes, and that's the word they use in Japan, it's fetish, that you're watching shows, you're watching anime because of the fact that it can appeal to you in such specific ways. And so it should be the expectation that most people won't like most shows, that most people will have very selective taste, that most people will only be gravitating towards certain stuff. And moreover, it should also be the expectation that depending on the trends going on in the way that the industry functions, that based on the way that, that the market is currently running, would affect the way that things come out. And I really think that there's this unbelievable short-sightedness that comes from the people who watch seasonal anime continually, and I know it's because a lot of them are new to the fold. A lot of people come in every year, a lot of people leave every year, a lot of people don't stick around and look at the whole meta context of everything coming out, and then they ask me things like, well, why do you try to watch every show when you know you're not going to like a lot of it? Because you don't know if it's going to be good until you look at it. And people are literally commenting that on this video where I reviewed Doreiku, which I thought was going to be shit, and I liked it. Literally, that happens in this same vlog. Did anybody actually continue past the Bunny Girl Senpai part to hear me talk about shows I actually like extensively for 50 minutes? Shows that appealed to me for their very specific, fetishistic sort of, appeal? No. People want to hear you say the thing that they felt about the thing that they liked. And it should be completely expected and reasonable that someone would have the exact opposite opinion of you about a show. And you have to realize that just because you think there's something good about the show, just because you read something into it, or you, even just on a surface level, thought that what was there was good, does not mean that other people are going to feel the same way. Other people might literally hate a show for the same reason you liked it. And in this case, that is exactly what's going on. I don't like Bunny Girl because of the reasons people like it. Because everything about it is aimed, okay, there was one comment that was like, I love Bunny Girl Senpai because I'm just like the main character. I'm nihilistic and clever and blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, no shit. That is the whole point. That's the point of light novels. That's the point of their main characters. They're all like that. It's a whole medium of characters like that. And if you've seen a lot of them, then at some point you go, well, yeah, sure, I relate to these incredibly fucking basic elements of this character, but I'm a more complex person than that, because I've been alive for twice as long as this character, and have had to deal with much more complicated issues that I would rather see a show talk about. I'm not interested in a couple of high schoolers mumbling about the problems in their emotional problems in their lives. I'm past that. And you should be able to understand that. You shouldn't be surprised when a fucking grown man with a full beard is telling you he's not into this show about teenagers. And granted, I will watch other shows about teenagers because I'm a dyed-in-the-wool anime fan who's been doing this for a long time, and I appreciate that some shows can have more interesting or complicated things to say than what appears on the surface, and I also realize that some shows are just interesting for their technical prowess. That even if it's not an amazingly written show, as long as it looks good and feels good, and the people who are, the people on staff are talented, and I can fucking see their talent through the work, then that is something I can appreciate, But, like, this show, the idea that people would think that it is a contrarian opinion to dislike this show, when you can easily go on my anime list and read a bunch of negative reviews of people saying they don't understand the hype. You can easily go into the comment section of that video and see that more of the comments are in agreement with me. Most of them are like, oh, thank God, I feel so vindicated that somebody else didn't like this show. Like, yeah, of course there's people who don't like the show. Of course. And that's okay. Why does it bother anyone to hear someone say the opposite thing of what they think? Why is that something that you would hit a dislike button on? Why is that something that you would have to accuse a person of being contrarian when they just feel differently from you, as all humans do from one another? It's kind of a basic aspect of how we live. It's like basic evolution. You need people to feel differently about things so that we can have more variety, or else there'd be no reason to be 65 fucking shows a season. You could just run the one show and we'll all fucking love it. But it's not like that. It's okay to be disappointed. It's okay to dislike. It's okay to hate even. It's okay to admit when you think that things are not the way that they should be. And I understand why some people would love 2018 anime if you specifically had more shows you liked that year than other years. I've even made the same argument for for years that I consider great. I considered 2016 to be a really solid year. There were a lot of people who were like, 2016 fucking blew. And it was just because a lot of stuff came out that was to my taste, but I definitely think that the practices happening in the industry are really questionable. And there's, again, I'm not talking about this from the angle of like, hey, anime is bad now because nothing good came out this year that I personally wanted to watch. I don't even know that yet because I haven't watched most of the 2018 shows, and I've been finding stuff that I enjoy. I enjoyed Doreku, I enjoyed Mahou Shoujo Sight, I enjoyed Piano no Mori, I enjoyed Mirai of the Future. Like, there's tons of stuff that I've enjoyed from 2018, Pop Team Epic, Agretsuko from, earlier in the year, Takunomi, Devilman Crybaby. I'm not saying nothing good's come out. However, amongst the things that I've liked, I've noticed a diminishing of the just overall production quality and just this feeling that everything's rushed now. And it's just plainly obvious when you look at the shows, when you look at how every show is using generic backgrounds now. Like, they're all just copying these same, like, template art styles. When, like, and it's not because they would want to, it's not because the people making the shows are idiots and don't know what they're doing, it's because it's just the state of affairs. There's not enough money to go around, and people keep splintering off from each other and making it even harder to get a fucking budget on a show. I mean, who would pump budget into a show? How do you even make money off of anime these days? Like when Twitter, their stock started free falling, my dad had a bunch of stock in Twitter, and of course he had, the stock starts diminishing in value, and he's like, oh God, what do I do? And I told him, I don't know why you would buy stock in Twitter when I don't understand how they make their money. Like, I don't understand how they can make enough money to prop up their platform. The answer is they can't. That's just it. Like, they can't. The only reason it survives is that people keep dumping money into it just to keep it afloat, but it's not profitable. And that's why the stocks were plummeting. And anime is in a similar kind of state. People are doing it because it's their job. The industry is still afloat because there's still ways for it to make some money, but there's no way for anime to make enough money to be worth pouring the amount into one show that it would take to make it really incredible, and there used to be a market like that. There used to be ways to sell shows. It used to be that if a show was successful, it was going to sell a lot of Blu-rays, it was going to have a lot of, merchandising and shit, and people are just less interested in spending money on that kind of stuff, and more competition has also made it so there's less tentpole media pieces. And, again, whether this is a good or bad thing is really up to you as an individual, but personally, I think it's really a shame that even the best shows are inconsistent in quality. That even the best shows are like, they're mostly appealing because they are so specific and fetishistic and tucked away, but you watch it and you go, man, that show sure did hit me right in the sweet spot, but I wish it looked good, and like there was a time when shows could be that. And to even suggest that Bunny Girl Senpai is anywhere fucking close to the level of Haruhi or Monogatari is absolutely laughable. And it honestly, I don't think you can know anything if you said that. Like, you could like it more, sure. And I'm not even talking about, like, objective quality or anything like that. I'm just saying that if you look at this show and you look at Haruhi and Monogatari and you can't understand why someone would take the position that this is a cheap knockoff, you don't know what you're talking about. Enjoy it more if you want. But if you can't recognize that, I can't take you seriously. Because the level of artistic quality between the shows, just visually, is unbelievably massive. Haruhi was groundbreaking. Haruhi, it literally had, animation techniques I hadn't even seen before in it. Every episode was impressive. That's why it was such a big deal. That's why it made so much fucking money. Because nobody had done a light novel, cute girls show on that level of quality before, and it was experimental. It had really interesting, unique ideas. It started with an episode that was like a fucking homemade movie. No anime's ever done that before, the way it did. It's still interesting today. You can still go back and watch it, and it still has that opening episode. It still has the God knows scene. It still has all these inventive properties, and these new shows don't have that. Bunny Girl Senpai is just a straightforward story being told. It's a straightforward light novel adaptation that has all the same story beats, all the same character types, all the same monologues, the same drama, the same... If you've seen Oregairu, then you've seen this show, and I hated that show too! Just, it's okay. Have your own opinion. But for fuck's sake, if you can't recognize why someone else wouldn't feel the same way as you, then, who are you to talk about the quality of someone else as a critic? I understand why people like Bunny Girl Senpai. I defended, in many ways, why people would like it. If you haven't seen these other shows, if you just connect with something more specifically in this one, if you are in the mindset of the main characters, if these plot lines resonate with you, if they're dealing with similar issues to what you've dealt with, you will probably care more about it. But, there's a huge difference between seeing why someone else likes a show and saying it's good because of that. It's good is in the eye of the beholder. My good is not your good, and if I say the show fucking sucks, it's because I think it fucking sucks. And that is an easy position for me to defend. And, just because you felt differently than me doesn't invalidate my opinion in any way, just as mine doesn't invalidate yours. The fact that I think Bunny Girl Senpai sucks doesn't mean it no longer has an 8.6 on Mal. It doesn't mean that it no longer is, Jeff's fucking excuse for why this is one of the best years of anime. All that shit still exists. So why the fuck do you care if I don't like it? That's what I can't wrap my head around.